like the idea that a voice can just go somewhere uninvited, like a dirty thought in a nice clean mind.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay. This is Real Talk. And today I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, the ghost, the man behind OverTime Hustlin. Well, thank you so much for giving us your time, Suge. I know you do not do a lot of these, so I really appreciate you coming on.
Nah, I appreciate you having me.
So I'm just going to start with the first question. First I'm going to say I do some background on people. You're a ghost. You're behind the scenes. Unlike most people who have a show or something, we're all right up in front. You're in the background. There's another reason I wanted to talk to you. But let's get into how did you come up with OverTime Hustlin?
So OverTime Hustlin actually started out as a party company. And then it just kind of evolved, you know. I started off as a graphic designer working for other companies. And, I just thought maybe I could do it myself. And here we are now. So
how long ago did you start OTH?
OTH originally started in 2012. The name came from a mixtape. So I was doing mixtapes for a previous company I had started. And the name of the mixtape was OverTime Hustlin. And then volume 4, it turned into a brand. And then from there, it turned into a party company. And then from there, it turned into a magazine, a clothing company, podcast network, management service. And yeah.
So when you were thinking about hey, let's do a magazine, because we all know there's not a lot of hip hop magazines left. What made you decide hey, this is an opening where I'm going to take advantage of where the market's open right here?
So the idea for the magazine came, like I said, I was a graphic designer. So I was designing for a magazine out of Arizona called Street Monster Magazine. And we had put out about 2 issues with them. And I noticed I was doing a little bit more than just the graphic design. I ended up editing and kind of arranging the magazine and things of that nature. And the guy doing the magazine wasn't able to do it anymore. And I kind of enjoyed it. So I was like, let me try to put together a magazine. And the first issue took about 3 years to come out. But, now we're on issue 27, about to drop this month. So it's doing pretty good.
No, that's pretty awesome. The grind I watch you put in, I've told you this before privately. I'm but your grind inspires me at times. When I feel just throwing the laptop against the wall or whatever, because you know what the grind is like with this sometimes, or you're trying to get somewhere and you're not getting there the way you want to. And I watch what you do and how you you did the grind until you get where you are right now. And I just give you a salute for that. But how hard is that sometimes, the grind of it all?
Oh, it's like a monthly thing. I'm ready to give up. It seems like almost every month, whether it's dealing with different people or, dealing with server issues or, just not having enough time to actually get everything that you want to get done. But, after you actually see it pay off and you see the results from it, it makes you want to keep going.
I definitely feel that. There's times, like I said, I just want to throw the laptop against the wall, and then I take a deep breath and I'm like, you got to look at where you started to where you are now, just because I'm not getting to where I wanted to as fast. So we'll get back to the magazine, because I do have a couple questions about that. But I got to ask, when you started the podcast and when you decided we're going to do some podcasts, what was the first one you started with?
So the first podcast was Turf Tales Podcast. We started that basically just due to the quarantine. There was nothing else going on. And, there wasn't really an outlet for independent artists the way I wanted to have an outlet for independent artists. So I said, let's go ahead and do this. And then Zoom kind of came through and took off. And we've just been running ever since. At one point, we had 4 different shows on the channel that we would do weekly. And right now, we're back down to 3, with it being the OverTime Reactions on Sunday, Winging It on Wednesday, and then Turf Tales on Friday. But right now, we're currently looking to add a few more. So, it's been fun, actually. I kind of enjoy the podcast more than anything else at this point, just because it's, so consistent and you could put out content so quickly.
Well, I know some people are going to say I'm kissing your ass with this, but they can go back and look at old comments from Turf Tales. I'm not bullshitting you when I tell you it is my favorite podcast every week. I look forward to it. It's hilarious. And there's only 5 or 6 podcasts that I sit and watch all the way through from start to finish without like breaking them up. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, anybody, like, let's just use Rogan, for example. They're 3 hours. There's no way I watch it all at once, even though I'll watch the whole thing over a week. You got me locked in at night, and not too many podcasts can do that. So you like, I love Turf Tales and the personalities that are on Turf Tales.
Yeah, definitely. The length of the show is actually one thing that at one point we wanted to cut it down to about an hour. But once you get in there and you start talking with the guest and the jokes start flying and, you know, the atmosphere, you kind of just lose track of time. And it always ends up being about 2 to 3 hours. But, you know, we have people who will sit there for 3 hours and watch it. And that's a great thing.
No, it's crazy. Last Friday, I'm watching it, and next thing I know, I look up and it's like 1:15 in the morning and it's ending, and I'm like, oh, what do I do now? I'm wide awake and I don't know what to watch. So then I know that you had a relationship with Cuzzo prior to OTH, just from us talking about when I had Cuzzo on. How did that all start in the relationship with Cuzzo? Because when I asked him, he said you'd probably be the better one to explain it.
So Cuzzo, I actually told Cuzzo this after your interview with him. Cuzzo is the longest standing member of OTH besides myself, actually. Cuzzo was around when I had the previous company, which it was called Grand Theft Mixtapes. We were strictly just putting out mixtapes. This was around like 2010-ish, and Cuzzo used to rap. So Cuzzo sent me some music at one point. We put him on them mixtapes. And then when we started the OverTime Hustlin brand, Cuzzo hosted, I believe it was volume 4 of OverTime Hustlin mixtape. And that just turned into him being around all the time. Me and him still haven't met in person to this day. But, you know, he's just always been around, and he's a good person that I could bounce off ideas. And then we're able to have discussions, and he's just a solid individual, really.
Yeah, no, I had an appreciation for Cuzzo before, but after speaking to him, I walk away with such more of appreciation of him as a man, not just a content creator, and how good of a dude he is. And I know not everybody gets to see all of it, but me and him had a long conversation after the show too. So I got to know him even more, which was really great. So OverTime Reaction started with mixtapes and then moved into the street beef stuff, or did I have that wrong?
No, so OverTime Hustlin started with mixtapes. OverTime Reactions, actually, the first episode, Cuzzo did a breakdown of Space Monkey versus Mad Titan, I believe. And if you go back and watch the first few episodes, he's actually shooting them in his car. And the episodes were maybe anywhere from 5 minutes to 15 minutes. And then I think it was about season 2, we started adding more than one video into the show. And that was when we were getting more familiar with YouTube and watch times and how all of that affects your channel. So we decided to make the episodes longer. And, it went from music to comedy skits to basically anything. And then we locked in with the Street Beef team, and, we kind of made that the main priority of the reactions with the videos at the end.
Yeah, and Cuzzo's absolutely amazing at doing those. Like, I've said it to him. I tied 2 reaction videos, said, fuck that, I can't do it out. Like, Cuzzo, the way he does it is so great. And he keeps it real, but he keeps a level of respect with it too, which I think is awesome. And I'm excited for the fact that you guys have a live show coming up. That's this Sunday, so that's 2 days after this will air. How'd that come about?
So the live show, we actually tried one, I want to say season 2, and YouTube ended up pulling it off. They pulled our stream down mid-show, and then we got back up, and then they pulled it down again. So we decided we were going to try it again this time, but strictly with Street Beef fights. And we're going to have Steve on there from the Scrapyard, and a few other guests are going to come on. I think Anomaly is going to come on, and they're going to break down a few different fights, and he's going to talk with them about stuff, kind of interview them on the show too. But it was just something kind of to get the people who support the show more interactive with it and a chance to speak, because not everybody tunes into Turf Tales and winging it. So.
Well, you guys do a lot for other podcasts and other groups out there. Like anybody who watches Cuzzo's Reactions, you have an ad for us on there and other people. And it's so amazing how much you have helped us at Yankee and the Brit. And I see you do it for others. And I really want to thank you for that.
Yes, no problem. We just try to support the people who are supporting us. At the end of the day, we're all in the same position. So, we're all trying to make it. And, we just reached 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and we couldn't have done that without the Scrapyard. We couldn't have done that without the West Coast Street Beefs, without you guys. So, anytime that we can show love back or just help you guys out, it's never an issue.
Yeah, and those little ads are so much fun to watch too. It's not like when you watch regular TV and you get up for a commercial. You like actually want to sit in there for those. So that's pretty awesome. So before we get to winging it, also because Freezus is also part of Turf Tales, how did you guys end up with Freezus, Lonnie Dangerous, SK? Like that group is probably what you would call the odd couple, but they are so perfect to work with each other.
Well, I mean, Freeze and Lonnie, they were already on the show prior to this season, and originally we had SK and Kush join it this season. So SK, he's been around for a while now as an artist, and he was always telling me he wanted to do a podcast of his own. Instead of starting a new one, I said, why don't you join Turf Tales? We had to make some changes there and switch up some faces and stuff. So, it just made sense to bring SK on. And then after seeing the way that he interacted with Freeze and Lonnie on camera and was able to go back and forth with them, as well as the questions that he asked interview-wise from an artist perspective, it just made sense to have him on the show.
So is that how you met Lonnie Dangerous, was through music?
I met Lonnie actually through Cuzzo. Cuzzo does another podcast called the Chronicles Podcast, which is hosted by him and Docious. Docious is actually related to Lonnie. So Cuzzo introduced me to Lonnie a while back, and he was in the magazine. He jumped on a few mixtapes, and then he ended up being on the cover of OTH magazine too. And Lonnie got on the show actually because Freeze couldn't make the show one week. And I was just like, I think Lonnie was a guest the prior week, and I was like, Lonnie, you want to come through and guest host this week? And he did. And then the next week, I messed up on Instagram, and I put Lonnie was hosting again. And then he's like, I'm hosting again. And I was like, no, you're not hosting. What are you talking about? And then he showed me the post, and I was like, you know what, just come through. And he's been there ever since. So, Lonnie adds a lot to the show. And a lot of people are constantly telling me, he's hilarious and they like what he has. But all three of them, they bring something different to the show. So it just works out great.
Wait, they're all three are funny. Freezus and Lonnie Lonnie Dangerous are funny in their own ways, but somewhat similar. And SK, compared to those two, comes out of left field with some shit that has me just dying.
Yeah, SK. Yeah, he's wild, that's for sure.
and he comes from a different point of view than a lot of people, but they all can it seems like he's so relatable to everybody. And just the fact that, and not that it's all in fun and but people give him shit in the comments, which he seems to take very well. But that in itself gets a life of its own sometimes, is like the comments about what's going on with SK.
Oh yeah, definitely. And shout out to the comments too. That's one of my favorite parts, no matter what show we're on, is just sometimes you'll be in the comments and you'll forget the show is even going on, because they'll have a whole separate conversation in the comments. And you got people like Zag in there, Rock, Damien, Aaron, there's just everybody's in there, and they're just going back and forth, and it's pretty cool because it's like a separate family almost in the comments.
I feel like I know some of them people, and I don't even know what they look like.
Exactly. Like some of them I have no other contact with just besides the live chat. Some of them I follow on Instagram, and some of them, like you said, I have no idea what they look like and where they live, nothing like that, but they're there every week. So, definitely salute to them.
You're right, though. It's a party in the comments because I have a blast in the comments. But before we move on from Turf Tales, personally, I need to thank you. The highlight of my podcasting career was you having me on Turf Tales with at Minnesota Vikings, Alexander Madsen. I'm a ridiculous football fan. I'm freakish. I don't even watch football with other people if the Vikings are playing. I'm such a freak. And to be able to talk to him and ask him some questions, man, that was the highlight of my podcasting career.
But yeah, definitely. And you know, we were glad that you were able to come on the show, and I knew you would have different questions than, you know, Lonnie, SK, and Freeze for him, just being that you're, you know, a huge Vikings fan. And I knew that from watching your show. So it just made sense to have you come on, and, you know, you were able to promote your show and also give us a different perspective of questions for him.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I didn't even realize he was in the music game until I was on the show with you guys.
Oh yeah, definitely. I didn't know that either until he was supposed to do a show last season and something came up. I think he ended up shooting a music video that night. So he was in the magazine, and you know, I was able to learn a little bit more about him and that he was doing the music, and also, you know, shout out to his pop Terrell. He set it all up for us, and you know, he's real big in the music as well. So you know, he got him on the show, and I feel like it was a great episode. You know, a lot of people hit me afterwards and said they learned a lot about Alex. They didn't know he was doing music, and you know, like I said, you were on there and you had a great time. So
It was a blast. I'm not even going to lie, man. I was up till, well, it ends about 1:30 where I live usually. And I think I was up till like 3 in the morning with energy, just trying to figure out what to do afterwards. And I got lucky. I had a buddy who was traveling because he does work out of state, and he was on a red eye. So I hit him when he got off the flight and was just so amped. I was like, bro, I just literally got to talk to Alexander Madsen from the Minnesota Vikings. So thank you again.
yeah, no problem.
How did Winging It come about? Because that is a funny show. Um, Keith G got me drunk the other night because he was drinking wine and made me go drink my wife's wine because he was making it look so fucking good. But that show's hilarious too. And how'd that come about?
So Winging It actually started after Turf Tales. I want to say Winging It was the second show that we added to the channel, and that was completely Freeze's idea. He had been working on putting a podcast together prior to that, probably for, I want to say, about a year. We had shot some stuff in his attic at one point. We had, you know, shot some other stuff, and it just never panned out schedule wise with him, the other guest host, the other host, myself. So once again, you know, just thanks to the quarantine, we had the time to do it. And Freeze basically completely controls that show, you know, so he books the guests for it. He comes up with the content for it. All I do is push the buttons and, you know, put the comments on the screen basically.
Oh, the videos those guys do in the middle of the show are freaking hilarious. Freezus will have me dying sometime with his hakus and different things.
Oh yeah, just hanging out with Freeze on a day to day, you know, when he lived up here, it was, you know, it was almost like winging it every day because you just never knew what out of his mouth. We've worked jobs together, and you know, Freeze is Freeze no matter what the environment is.
So there was a question on Turf Tales the other day, and I don't even know if you'll know the answer, but just because it was funny. If you had to bet who out of the hosts of Turf Tales outsmokes the other hosts of Turf Tales?
I think I answered in the comments actually, but my answer would be Freeze.
Okay.
It would definitely be, you know, just traveling around with him, and like I said, being with him on a day to day when he was in the area. Yeah, he's definitely able to smoke a lot, and he's definitely able to handle it very well. So, you know, my answer would definitely be Freeze. But no, that's no slight to Lonnie and SK. You know, I'm sure, you know,
Oh yeah,
we see we see SK on Turf Tales every Friday. So,
well, and that's the thing. Like, I don't think anybody's gonna feel slighted. It's one of those. Man, they all look like they smoke enough. So who outsmoke? And I don't know who put the question in there, but it might have been Mr. Zag, but that shit had me laughing.
I think actually that was Nell. So shout out to Nell. Nell's actually a supporter who's currently incarcerated at this time, with phone privileges. So, he's actually a newer supporter. He tunes in every week, and yeah, he was the one who actually put that in the comments. So
How times have changed, man. Because when I was locked up, if you even smuggled it, well, cell phones didn't even exist when I first went in, unless you had the big Zach Morris shit from Saved by the Bell. But even
yeah,
after I got out, it was like if a guard even brought one into the facility, it's 5 years, and now they're letting them have tablets and stuff. How the world changes.
yeah, it's pretty cool because we have a few people who are behind the wall right now who actually tap in with us, send us music. One of the artists that I actually manage he's set to be released in about 2 months. So he just did a track actually on his cell phone that we're going to be putting out here pretty shortly. So, it's pretty cool that they get the opportunity to do that, and still be connected to the real world.
So I'm guessing with all the music you guys play and everything you do, is that like a two-way street where you have artists getting a hold of you and you're getting a hold of other artists, and then you have to figure out what to throw in at the beginning and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so with the music selection process, a lot of it is artists will send us their music, and then the other portion of it is just me going on YouTube and getting, sucked into that YouTube wormhole, and whatever catches my ear, I'll reach out to the artist and let them know, like, hey, I want to play your track this week on the show. And a lot of times they'll respond, and, tune into the show or check it out. So it helps out because it gets the artist exposure, but it also brings new viewers to the channel.
Okay. I was going to say, I think it was last week, might have been the week before, because I watch every week and they blend together sometimes with the music. But I'm sitting there listening. And lately, I would say in the last year and a half, pandemic time, I found UK grime. I had never heard of it before, and I had found UK grime. And then you had that dude on there with the accent, and there was some grimy hip hop going on. I was like, ooh, I almost jumped up out of my chair. I was like, now we got some grime up in here, too.
Yeah, so I actually came across that. I was listening to some Canadian drill music, and then it turned into UK drill music, and now I'm listening to some London drill music actually too. So it's crazy how the sound has just, like, I don't know, spread across the whole world. Because I remember listening to drill music when it was like literally just Chicago, or at least that's what Chicago was known for at the time, with Beef and those type artists, and then it spread to New York, and now it sounds like everybody's kind of doing it. But definitely overseas, they do it a different way, and it has an appeal to it.
Yeah, anybody who wants to go check that out, two of my favorite UK artists are Stormy and JK. Go check them out. Also, that's the evolution of music in Chicago too, though, because I'm 40, so growing up, it was house music in Chicago, and then it evolved. So, are you into all kinds of music? Do you mainly just listen to hip hop, or are you all over the map with it?
So it really depends on my mood. I would say probably like 90% of the time you'll catch me listening to hip hop, but like I also like I'm real big on Guns N' Roses. I love Nirvana and Kurt Cobain. I was a huge Kiss fan growing up. Marilyn Manson, like heavy metal, like I like that type of music as well. But
Yeah,
for the most part, I'm listening to like Tupac or Lil Wayne and Sada Baby, Cash Kid, Lil Boosie. Like that's more what you'll catch me listening to on a regular basis.
I love Little Boozy, but so for me, I go through like stages again. Like right now, I just like almost refound Linkin Park again from my childhood or that kind of stuff. But so
That
when
was
you
one of my
go back,
favorite.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
That was one of my CDs actually when I was younger. The Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park. I probably listened to that shit for like a year straight, and yeah, that's definitely a classic for me.
So when you go to the magazine again, because back to Overtime Hustlin magazine, and if you guys didn't go cop March's issue, go do that already. And while you're there, make sure you pick up Tarantula 2 by SK. But we're going back, like, how do you decide what artists you want to interview, or like who you're gonna and how do the interviews work? Like, is that you that does the interview, or how does that go?
So most of the interviews I do, Cuzzo handles, are sports interviews with like scrapyard fighters, street beast fighters. Then I have a guy, Steve. Shout out to Steve. He does a lot of the booking for the New York artists for me. He's located in the city, so he gets a lot of New York artists in there. He was the one who connected us with DJ Drewski. For this issue, he was the one who connected us with DJ Enough. So he connects us with them, but most of the interviews are done by me. And artists can either get in there if they just catch my attention. I'll reach out to them and say, hey, I want to get you in the magazine and give them the rundown. Or we of course we have the option, you could pay to get in the magazine, but even with that, we kind of check out your page and make sure you have a little bit of a following, and you're really about your craft and not just a fly by night type artist.
Is it you or is it Cuzzo? Who decides which one of the fighters? Like, I mean, not that Viking Warrior wasn't just a obvious choice, but who makes that decision?
So this issue, I actually chose the artist, or excuse me, I chose the fighters. So we have Buddy V and Viking Warrior. Buddy V was definitely somebody that Cuzzo had already mentioned that he wanted to interview, and Viking Warrior, that's my guy. We go back and forth every day in the messages, and I was able to meet him actually in Virginia. So I definitely wanted to get him in there. And we had Jay Gotham in there. That was somebody that Cuzzo had expressed, interest in. He wanted to interview him. That was actually the first interview. And prior to that, we had Steve in there. We had Scarface in there. We had Country Hoodlum in there. And those were all prior to Cuzzo actually doing the interviews. But Cuzzo has full control over that. Whoever he wants to interview, he just has to, let me know, and we'll make it happen.
And of course, anybody who watches us knows I'm very partial to Buddy V. So check us out on MMA Underground. One of the smartest things we did when we and Maddie were talking, hey, let's bring on a third host, somebody who's in the fight world. You know what I mean? I watch a lot of combat sports, but that's all you got from me, is from the viewer's point or from a fan's point of view. And Maddie and I were talking, and we both were just like Buddy V. And it was pretty much that simple. And so when we reached out and he was in his Buddy V fashion, hell yeah. And it was the best thing we did for MMA Underground. And with the Viking Warrior, that dude, he's one of the nicest guys. But when you look at him, he's 3% body fat and looks like he's ready to murder somebody at any given moment.
Yeah, like I said, me and Viking Warrior, we right now we kind of have a challenge that we do. So I go to the gym every day, and he's constantly giving me tips, on how to gain muscle, how to lose weight, how to gain lean muscle. So right now the thing we're doing is we have a little treadmill competition. So I'll send him my time, and then he'll try to beat my time the next day, and then he'll beat my time, and I got to beat his time the next day. But that's definitely my guy right there, and he's a hell of a fighter. And I got to meet him, like I said, in Virginia. I got to meet him, Buddy V, Illuminate the State, Steve, Ron was there, So the thing about the scrapyard is it's hard to root for certain fighters for me in there, because it seems like every fighter in the scrapyard is just a great person, So sometimes I don't even like watching their fights hoping that somebody wins, because everybody there is just such a nice person.
That happened to me this weekend, because through the show, I built relationships with Jay Gotham and the Terrifier, where we actually message each other and talk once in a while and whatever. And or I FaceTime with the Terrifier once in a while. But it's I like both of those guys so much. I was excited for the fight, but there's no way I could have cheered for either one of them. And I was leaving excited for one and sad for the other.
Yeah, I actually I caught the live premiere of that fight, and it was a great fight. I don't want to give no spoilers, but yeah, it was definitely a great fight. If you haven't seen it, go check it out on the Scrapyard page. But I'm sure we'll be doing a reaction to that one pretty soon. And I kind of felt the same way. I haven't really got a chance to talk with Terrifier, but I have seen him in the comments, as well as in the comments of other podcasts and stuff. And he always sends a shout out and stuff. So and he's a hell of a fighter. So
I think it's coming, because he reached out to me the other day and asked me to put him in contact with Cuzzo. So I did. Those two are talking now. So I'm sure something will come of it, because they're both military guys. They're both super nice guys. So I think they're going to hit it off real great. with the fighters too, it's like I build relationships, and this isn't saying that I feel a real certain way. I'm kind of joking about this, but I'm watching the BLK Prime press conference, and there was some call outs to dudes that I've either worked with on the Yankee and the Brit or that I've interviewed, and like I felt a certain way, and then I'm like, bro, it's a promo. Calm down. I don't know why you're getting in your feelings over a promo.
No, they have a great thing there. The whole Street Beefs, the whole brand, you know, whether it be the OG Yard or the West Coast or the Scrap Yard, like, you know, you got fighters from every aspect of it that like I'll tune in to watch. Like I said, Country Hoodlum was one of the first ones that I actually watched, and then we got the opportunity once he moved to a different brand. We were actually able to sponsor him. So he had the OverTime Hustlin shorts and everything on in the ring when he won his belt. And then, you know, you got Free Smoke. Free Smoke is one of my favorite West Coast fighters.
Me too.
And he's not afraid of anything. You know, anytime you see Free Smoke, you know he's about to talk shit, but you know he's able to back it up. So, you know, they just got people from all over that's you know, just fun to watch, and they put it together very well.
Yeah, and with Free Smoke, I've always said the reason I enjoy him so much is he's a nice guy. He says what he means, and he'll tell you to fuck yourself quick, but he'll go back it up too.
Oh, definitely. Like I said, Free Smoke, every time I see him in the comments, I'm just waiting to see what he says that night, you know, but he's definitely able to back it up. So that's always a good thing.
So what's next? I know you don't have to give out like exactly what you're planning, but what's next? Like the moves with some more podcasts or things like that? What's in the works for Suge at OTH?
Just, you know, more magazines, more podcasts. You know, we're going to be adding other content.
Sorry about that.
We're going to add other content to the channel as well. So we got like videos and stuff that I shot years ago that we're going to put out, freestyles from some artists that we shot before they had a major name. Now they have a major name that, you know, I've kind of been holding on to, and just really the same stuff that we're doing, just elevated to a different level at this point.
Now I've got turned on to a lot of music through Turf Tales and OTH, and but man, you've had some people on there lately I actually like have heard of before they come in, or you advertising them. And I just say this again, you having Cassius on there just made me smile because I grew up between Chicago and Wisconsin. And so Cassius is somebody that I've like known who he is for, you know, a while now. So when I saw him, I was like, oh shit, there you go.
Yeah, Cassius is another one of them guys. He's a real solid individual. Trying to remember how I linked with him. I think actually his management team reached out to us about being in the magazine at one point. And, you know, of course, I was like, yeah, you know, that's Cassius. Like, so we did the interview, and the cool thing about him was we did the interview while I was in California. So I actually pulled up to his house, you know, chopped it up with him and did the interview there. And then ever since then, we just kind of been locked in. Anytime I hit him or I hit his manager, they respond right away. You know, when I asked them if they wanted to do the show, it was right away. And that's actually the second time they've been on Turf Tales, you know, so like I said, real solid individuals right there.
Yeah, no, you guys turned me on to Thug Missus and a bunch of other people that I was like, you hear their music on there, and you probably get sick of this, and I do it just like everybody else. But you put it in the descriptions, but right in the middle of the show, people be like, who's that? Who's that? I need to know who that is.
Yeah, that's something I'm trying to get better at, is actually putting together a list in the description of like the music that we're playing that night. Not only so everybody knows who it is, but then the artist, you know, like when you do hear that artist that you like, or, you know, you want to go check out more of their music, the name is right there for you. So, because sometimes, as you know, like the chat's delayed and stuff. So when I see people asking, who is this? I might answer on the wrong video. And, you know, definitely just want to make sure all the artists get their proper shine and promotion.
Yeah, well, I mean, just seriously, and the easy ones, SK, you guys turned me on to. You turned me on to Lonnie Dangerous, Killer Kush. But like, I didn't even hear Thug Missus music until I saw her on Turf Tales, and I'm looking up her music as she's talking because I just from hearing her speak and like her answers on things I want to hear. and then Hot Rod, like just after watching that guy, his personality, I was like, I just got to go check this dude out.
Yeah, definitely. So shout out to Hot Rod, DJ Hot Rod. He's gonna be back on this week, and then we had a guest last week who was supposed to be on, but he had something had went on, so he wasn't able to make the show, and that's Hotwire. So Hot Rod is actually Hotwire's DJ. So we're gonna have them both on this week and get an in-depth interview with both of them. Thug Mrs. was actually brought to the show by Lonnie. So I had heard that before, but I probably wouldn't be able to tell you her music, prior to the show. And then when she came on and just doing my research and checking out her music prior to the show, and then her interview was a classic to me. So, I'm definitely a fan of Thug Mrs. at this point, and shout out to Lonnie for putting me onto her.
So before I let you go and not take up all your day, what can we look forward to on this week's episode? Because anybody who's watching this, couple hours after you watch this, Turf Tales is going to air. So what are we looking forward to on Turf Tales this week?
Yeah, so like I said, this week on Turf Tales, we got DJ Hot Rod, Desert Storm DJ. We got Josiah Hotwire. He's an artist from New York. And then we also got D Nell on the show this week. So he's a producer from upstate New York. So, probably just a lot of the same stuff that we usually do, but just newer faces and, kind of just going with the flow. But like I told you the other day, I'm kind of looking at Real Talk at this point. It's like the pregame, to Turf Tales. So, and I say that respectfully, of course, but that's like the start of the night on Friday nights now. So you got to tune in to Real Talk with Jay, and then once you're done with Real Talk with Jay, Turf Tales is on. So you got your Friday off.
No disrespect taken, because I'm not going to lie. When we were bringing Real Talk back and we were talking about like, when are we going to air it? Because, we don't want to step on people and do different things. And that's why we pick our times, because even with MMA Underground, we're not trying to step on Heart in the Fight because we're all doing the same thing. And I was like, well, SK's coming on, so let's just drop it before Turf Tales, because they'll see SK and then they can go straight to Turf Tales, I said. And then it just turned out perfect, where I literally see the same guys and people who are watching Turf Tales tuning into Real Talk, and I really appreciate that.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's what we're here for. And shout out to you for having SK on the episode, because you set that up with SK, and then we got the show that's supposed to happen here in Seattle at some point. So we're trying to coordinate that right now with Cuzzo going out there, hopefully for a scrapyard event. That way we can kind of knock down a few things at one time. So definitely shout out.
And Team Peixoto?
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
So you were the one that actually put us in contact with them, so we're definitely trying to make that happen. And, it'd definitely be a good look. Hopefully you can make it out there too, once we get it all set up.
My wife and I have been talking about how we got to get out to the scrapyard. And then in reactions the other day, I was just joking with Steve, shout out Fire Chicken, that when are you going to take me squatching? So I'm going to make him take me squatching if I get out to Seattle.
Yeah, I seen that last night. I didn't even know that was a real thing. I thought it was a joke until you guys were serious about it. I didn't know they actually hunted.
I don't believe in Bigfoot, okay? So I'm not going out there really thinking I'm going to find one. But just to fuck around with a couple dudes, go out there and say you went squatching, that shit seems fun to me.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I would definitely be down for that as well. That, I'm sure it would be a good time.
The funniest squatching story I've ever heard is on Rogan. So if you ever get bored, YouTube Rogan and then his squatching story, because that shit's hilarious.
I'm going to check it out.
And that's back when he really thought he was going to find Sasquatch too.
Oh, okay. I think somebody that it looked like Steve filmed his commercial running from Sasquatch.
So tell everybody. I got it. The link, or I got the web address up right there. But tell them what's over at OTH and what they can go look for at OverTimeHustlin.com.
So anything OverTime Hustlin, you can find at OverTimeHustlin.com. We're focusing now on putting more content on the site. But you can find any episodes of Turf Tales, Winging It. Real Talk with Jay is actually going to be posted on the website every week. So, you can keep up with that there. OverTime reactions, of course, on there every week. And then just continual new music, new merchandise. We got Durantula 2 up there right now. We're working on Grizz's new project, Back on My Grizz Shit Part 2. That's dropping probably next month. So that's going to be up on there. And we're hoping to actually release a collaboration with Buddy V and the Zool brand. So, definitely look out for that. You actually got a sneak peek of that. So, we got that coming pretty soon. And just anything OTH related, you can go to OverTimeHustlin.com and find it.
All right, and make sure you cop that Durantula 2 from SK. And yes, I keep pumping SK, but not only is his shit awesome, he's such a great dude. So make sure you support him because All right. Well, thank you so much for giving me your time, Suge. I know, like I said, I know this isn't something you usually do. So I really appreciate it. We got to get to talk to the man behind everything that's going on at OverTime Hustlin.
No, I appreciate you having me on.
All right, guys, make sure you go over to OverTimeHustlin.com, get you guys some merch and everything else. Thanks for watching. One world, one love. Deuces.
Everything's polluted. The environment, the government, the schools, you name it.
This radio person is the whole problem. Are we going to allow this guy to be heard by anyone who can turn a dial?
You out there? You listening?